Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Schenectady City Council Committee meeting for Tuesday, January the 19th, 2021 to order. And we'll go straight into public service and utilities. I'll ask Mr. Kosher to open this committee, and we'll give him some work as he proceeds to retire later this week.
Well, very good. Thank you, sir. We have a few items here before us. First, calling for a public hearing on February 8th for the redirection of South Church Street from a two-way street to a one-way street, part of the reconstruction of South Church Street. And Chris Wallen, are you here, please, to address this?
I am here. So what we would like to do is call for a public hearing, as it says, to change South Church Street between State Street and Fuller from a two-way to a one-way street going from State Street to Fuller. This would assist us in some of the development that we've seen around that area, as due to the current traffic patterns, a left turn is not permitted from State Street onto South Church as you're going, I believe it's east to west towards Scotia. So what we'd like to do is, in partnership with Metroplex, I'm working with Metroplex and design consultant. We're looking at doing a complete streets redesign of South Church Street between these two. It's one of the last blocks to be redeveloped, so to speak, with the church, with the complete streets treatment. And this would precipitate, if we went one way, that we could allow left turns. So one of the things that we've been getting complaints about is that vehicles, as they're going down State Street, they see things such as the Frog Alley Brewery, Bountiful Bread, all that area. And when they get past, they realize that they are past and there's no way to go. So then you have no left turn there. And then you get to Washington, it's no left turn there. So then you have to take the right into the stockade. And then you kind of get into that stockade network. So we're trying to reduce that and get people where they want. This is not an issue for CDTA. We've spoken with CDTA, we've spoken with Trailways, so we have the support of those on there. We've spoken with SCCC, who operates the dorms. The dorms are currently being utilized by other people during COVID as well. And they would like to see the left turn instated. We did have a traffic study performed by the Chazen Company, and it was included in your backup material. And that concluded that this work could be done with no significant impact to the road or to downtown. So I'd like to move this forward for a call to public hearing.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns?
I just have one question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
So, Mr. Wallen, what is the makeup of residential versus business on this street?
This street has one building on it, technically two, if you count the bus station. So there is the Trailways Bus Station, which really does not operate as a bus station as a business. It does have buses, but it's more of a stop and go. And then there's also a building that I believe houses the seat center.
Yes, okay.
And those are the only two that are specifically on Church Street. They both have off-street parking. Mm-hmm. And they both have access to railroad, which is on the back side currently.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, and Chris, would they be changing that signal light on State Street to offer a left-hand arrow to make that turn?
So what we would be doing is working with John Coluccio to modify the signal timing. Not having that there should free up some time, and we would allow the left turns from State on the Church.
Good, because that's a very difficult intersection, especially at rush hour, to get through there either direction. Any other questions or concerns from my colleagues?
Mr.
Oh, no, hold on, Johnny. Ms. Karen ZW, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say that I think there's been a lot of thought put in this, and I think it's a great idea, especially with the redevelopment that's happened at that end of State Street. I think it'll help with the traffic flow. So I'm very supportive of this. I'm glad to see it come forward. So thank you, Mr. Wallen.
Very good. Anybody else besides Mr. Palmetti? Go ahead, John. You want to move it?
I move it.
Anybody a second? Is that myself, I'm assuming?
No, me. I'll second.
There you go. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Very good. Thank you. Item number 2, another call for a public hearing, February 8th, 2021, for the redirection of Barrett and Huron streets from a one-way street to a two-way street. Chris, you're up again, sir.
Yep. This is Barrett Street, as it says, between South Avenue and Park Place. It is a one-way jug handle, so to speak, as it is. This is a area where we've seen a lot of redevelopment. This was the former, I know it as Luigi's. It might have been something else before then, restaurant site primarily. Now there's been a lot of private investment and residential development in this area, and they would like to see that the road be converted to two-way to foster better trip planning on it. We've looked into it, both John Coluccio and myself, and we've seen no no reason that this could not be done, given everything. So we'd like to move forward with it.
Good. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Mr. Coach, I have a question.
Yes, Mrs. Porterfield, yes.
So what is the, now that it's a one-way street currently, so what is the parking requirements and will they have to change on that particular street?
That is a great question. I did not look into the parking requirements, but I will have it for you for the public hearing. I don't believe they're going to have to change, but I will confirm it. And there's parking, the street is wide, and I believe it was two-way at one point. I'd look it up now, but I don't believe there was any parking requirements to propose a change.
I know because sometimes one-way streets allow parking on both sides, which could cause a problem if it's now going to two-way. And I do have one follow-up question. How are we notifying the residents of these streets about the public hearing other than the public notice?
I'm not, we haven't done any kind of like outreach like that, specific outreach. I think this came up before on another issue. I don't remember what it was, but we had the same conversation about notifying public about public. I don't know, Andrew, is there any suggestions on how we may inform residents that are affected by this?
I mean, I don't know what we've previously done, Chris. Certainly, I'm sorry, Mr. Kosher, if I may.
Yes, of course, sir. Go.
I don't know how we previously addressed this. I don't know if we've sent out letters to anybody. I can't speak to it.
Okay.
Obviously, we try to notify, through the call for a public hearing. Chris, I don't know what we've done previously. There's no specific requirement there's no specific requirement if that's what you're looking for in terms of.
No, I'm sorry. I'm glad that you posed this question, but this had come up before about a year ago, and I can't remember what the issue was, but it led to some back and forth about who notifies it, if it was the council, if it was the departments. I thought it might have to do with sidewalks when we were discussing it. But I mean, is it the council's designer that we, what?
Mr. Chairman, whenever, go ahead.
Yes,
Chris.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Gary.
We actually talked about Barrett Street before, and there was some confusion where the council changed the first block coming in from Union Street to two-way, and we didn't do the second block. So this was talked about before and then wasn't fully acted on. And probably the simplest thing in this situation is we just leaflet those neighbors that are affected. There's not a lot of them, but put a notice on the door. And so assuming the council acts on this favorably tonight, we could get that out tomorrow or the next day so that they would be aware of the hearing coming up.
Mr. Kosher?
Yes, Ms. Porterfield.
Yeah, so Mayor, I think that's a good idea and I would be comfortable with that, just so people know, because it's kind of rather significant change. And with everybody being virtual today, maybe some people are missing things and, because they're not tuning into our meetings or whatever. So I think that's a good idea that we just let folks know. And if they want to send something in, or whether it's favorable or otherwise, they have the opportunity to do that. But having people informed, I think is great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea as well. And again, that first change of Barrett Street was very important, and I think it's worked out very well for those residents there. Any other questions? Who's asking?
Mr. Kosher, John Clucho, can I make a comment?
Yeah, John, welcome. Good seeing you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I just wanted to say that there's certainly not that many residents on that block. So, we'd be more than willing to leaflet them. I don't see that as a problem. We did do the other section about it a couple of years ago, and it is very positive, as you noted, and this would just be a good extension to that. And then I just wanted to comment on the parking. There's certain areas of that street where we would need to restrict the parking, but it should be restricted anyway, and that's on the curved area. Not a lot of vehicles that park there now, so I don't see that as being an issue.
Oh, yeah, very good. Very good. Any other questions or concerns? All right, and again, we look forward. Now, who's going to coordinate the leaf droplet here, or the informational droplets? Can we clear that up? Is it, whose office is going to do this?
Yeah, we'll work together through the mayor's office to make sure it gets done.
All right, very good. All right, thank you, sir, and thank you very much. All right, so hearing nothing else, can I get a motion to move this?
I'll move it.
John, Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. And item number 3 is authorize the mayor to enter into the supplemental agreement number 2 with New York State Department of Transportation for the detailed design funds to be paid for the Amtrak Railroad for the Kings Road project. And we're very, very excited about this, living in Woodlawn. This has been talked about for a long time, so what a way to end my meeting. Chris, go right ahead, sir.
Thank you. So what we have is supplemental funding, as it states, to pay Amtrak to review the detailed design plans for the Kings Road Bridge. So what we have is we have a essentially finished design set of plans for the new bridge. Those plans must be reviewed by Amtrak. Amtrak has reviewed what we're doing. They've given us an agreement, which we have authorized. They have authorized back, and that comes with a price tag of $87,000 of fees. Those costs are reimbursable through the project, so that authorized agreement was sent to the DOT. The DOT then sent me the paperwork that you have, the Schedule A, to reimburse ourselves for that up to 95%. And if we are moving forward, what we're going to do is authorize this, get it through the system, and cut Amtrak a check so that they can begin reviewing the plans, so that we can have their sign off, because that's the next step to get towards having an approved construction set.
Very good, Chris. What do you think the timing is? And I know Amtrak has been somewhat difficult in dealing in plans and that. Any ballpark, how you think this is going to proceed with Amtrak?
Yeah, Amtrak will most likely be, I'm not going to say a huge deterrent. They'll probably take, let's say, 3 to 6 weeks to review. And then we'll get their comments back and go forward with the DOT. I know your next question will probably be schedule.
Yes.
What we're looking at is getting this out this year, but actually probably not seeing any construction until next year. I'm not going to say due to COVID, because I'm sure we're all tired of saying that, but the materials needed to construct a new bridge are significantly delayed. So what we want is to have this out, bid, and awarded, so that we can order all of the materials through the contractor and have them lined up in time to have the total construction done one season.
Very good. Yeah, and it sounds like a good plan. And again, this is in partnership with the town of Rotterdam on the other side of the bridge as well. So again, both communities are really looking forward to this, and appreciate all the hard work on this, Chris. I know it's a never ending, but it's just going to be a great project.
It is, like you said, it's going to be a great project. It has a sidewalk. It has lanes for bike shoulders. It's going to connect to Rotterdam in their sidewalk project. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a great project.
Very good. Any other questions or concerns from my colleagues? Nope, here none. Need a motion, John?
I'll move it.
There you go. All right, all fair say aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. And one last time here, request your authorization to purchase some kind of an asset there for 2021 for the water department. Hey, Mr. Fry, how are you, buddy? Good to see you, Tony.
Good, how are you?
Go ahead, sir.
Well, Paul couldn't make it today, but every year the water department issues a bid for the hydrofluoric acid. That's for the treatment of water in the city of Schenectady. There were 4 bids. The highest was $63,000 and the lowest was $55,200, which comes to 22 cents a pound for unit price. The lowest bid was from Univar Solutions of Mooresville, Pennsylvania, and the amount of $35,200 was the same vendor as we used in the previous year, and we're requesting.
Oh, we're losing you, Tony. Well, we lost you. It must be the Wi-Fi you have in City Hall there. All right. I think he's actually frozen too, isn't he? John, do you hear him or see him? Oh, there we go.
No, he's gone altogether.
Look at him, man. Where's the mayor? Get some Wi-Fi over there. Coluccio, get down there, will you?
You told me to save money, Mr. Kosher. So
Yeah, give it to the kids and the seniors, right?
He's back. He's back.
Oh, dear. All right. Well, we kind of got the gist of that. Any questions or concerns, anybody?
Mr. Kosher, I think he's back.
I know he's all
Mr.
set.
Fry's back.
Yep, he closed out. We're good. Right? Anything, you're good, right? Anything else to add? There was nothing else to add, Tony, was there?
No, that's it. No,
That was
5,000.
it.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Anything else to come before our committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Ms. Carmel, Ms. Patrick?
Yep.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Call to order public safety, first item, agreement to reimburse Schenectady County for work performed on behalf of the city of Schenectady Police Department. This is under Mr. Colding name, but we also have Assistant Chief Mike Sieber online. So who would like to speak on this?
I can start it out, Council President Mudaveran. I'll call for backup if I need it. That's why I have AC Sieber.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. So in the past, the city has utilized a camera system rather, that is operated by the county and a county staffer. Typically, it's been done year over year, and it's been below the threshold for the purchasing policy. This time around, though, we're looking to enter into an agreement for 3 years in which the city would reimburse the county for those services that are provided to the city via the surveillance camera system and staffing it. So it'd be a 3-year agreement, $21,000 reimbursement a year, and that's based on the added cost to the county for the net added cost of the county for staffing the position, based on how much time that person serves the city in that capacity. You know, I can't really get into the details of just how useful it is, but after speaking to Assistant Chief Sieber, I know it's a system that we utilize on a regular basis, both for law enforcement purposes, and also we use it honestly for certain claims that's come up, you know, where an accident is caught, for example, on a county camera, and we use it for the purposes of addressing a particular claim, either to deny it or to say, oh yeah, that did happen. So I can attest to the value of the camera system, the surveillance system, in regards to that. So what we're seeking to do is have the committee, the Public Safety Committee, approve for full council consideration this request to enter into the 3-year agreement to reimburse the county at $21,000 a year. And obviously, as I mentioned, AC Sieber is on the line, and AC Sieber, if there's anything you'd like to add, please.
Yeah, if you would, I could. You know, we use this system every day. It's part of our whole infrastructure as far as our networking. But financially, this is built into our budget every year, so we're not asking for any new money. Just $21,000. I actually put into a budget line of fees for service through the police department every year, and we reimburse it. Andrew just said, you know, this is because it's a 3-year agreement as opposed to a 1-year agreement. So I did talk about it, or I do present it. I don't know if I spoke about this past budget session, but you know, this is nothing that's a new money, if you would. We do still have some other agreements like this with the county. Generally, they're reimbursing us for some of our services, but just I can answer any other questions. But it's really money well spent as far as we're concerned.
A question. This is regarding to for staffing purpose only. What about maintenance and cleaning of these cameras?
Yeah, the county pretty much picks up all that. Every once in a while, we apply for some grant money, and you know, we kind of support that in different ways, if depending on how much grant money we have. Years ago, a few years back, we did a capital project with some of our funding for some cameras, so some infrastructure of the cameras. But generally, it's done with grant money historically. But the county also picks up majority of tab otherwise.
Thank you.
Mr. Mudaveran?
Any other questions go ahead, please.
Chief Sieber, so first of all, let me say that I'm very familiar with the camera system. I know the good work that it does and how the importance of it within our city. And Mr. Calder brought up a good point about how sometimes we know about accidents. So I'd like to discuss that a little bit more, but not right now. So what I wanted to know, is this any increase over the past years? Are you asking us for more money than usual for this particular position?
No, this has stayed flat since we initiated this program. I believe it's 2015 or 16. We've been doing 1-year programs since then. And so no, there's no increase here. Again, this was built into our 2021 budget. We're not asking to move any money or redirect any money or ask for more money. It's part of our budget application. So it's, you know, financially we have the money.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Mayor McCarthy.
If I can just follow up to Councilmember Porterfield's inquiry, why I believe this is a good deal is Chief Severs pointed out, this has been the number we've agreed to a number of years. It's not at the threshold where it would go to the city council in past years because we just did an annual agreement. Now we're locking it into 3 years so that there won't be any increases, at least for the next 3 years, even though the county has hinted they want a little bit more money. So that's why I believe it's a good deal for the council and would ask for your favorable consideration.
Any other colleagues?
I'll move it.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The next item is review of the guidelines, bylaws for the Civilian Police Review Board with the repeal of 50A. Before I pass this on to Ms. Porterfield, I just wanted to make a statement regarding to this. I had the opportunity, along with Ms. Porterfield, to attend several of the meetings for the CPRB, the Civilian Police Review Board, and they had come up with several recommendations to us. And they actually met with us and they had several meetings to come up with a proposal to us. I received it earlier today and I emailed it to council member from the chairman of this board. I know it's late, but I hope that some of you had an opportunity to go for it. There's not much changes. It is changes that were discussed within the membership and agreed to submit to the city council for our consideration to incorporate with any changes that we have so that we can move forward with revising the chapter city charter with regards to Civilian Police Review Board. There were several options and recommendations to us, and I wouldn't go into detail on this. I will just leave that for now, but I hope that and work with Ms. Porterfield to incorporate it into the changes that she has in place, and we can able to discuss and move forward. Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mudavaren. I think you pretty much covered it. And as you said, we've been attending the CPRB meetings, and because they're doing their due diligence on this, which I'm very grateful for. I will say that I sent out to my fellow colleagues on the council we all have Chapter 93, but also an instrument which we followed up and again is sent in this email with their backup packet to take a look at what Chapter 93 does, because I think we should be working simultaneously. We're getting closer and closer to our deadline, and we really need to be prepared. So the CPRB has put forward their information. They've been very good in working with us, and I know that we are going to have to sit down and not necessarily take everything they say, but to take it into consideration and then do what's best for our citizens overall. So I'm looking forward to us really digging into this and doing some good work on it now. And I don't think that we necessarily have to wait until April 1st. A very good testament to that we don't have to wait for everything to be for April 1st is because there was a suggestion that the police department have a advisory board in order to look at the candidates that are coming forward. And that was something that was already put into play and acted upon without us waiting for our whole full package. So clearly, there's an opportunity for us to do the things that we need to do and not wait for the entire package of police reform to be moved forward. So I think that we really should be working on this and get our legislation in order to be able to once again vote upon it and put it in place so that it works for now and not when we originally started out with the board. Thank you.
Any other colleagues?
Mr. Mudavaren?
Go ahead, Mr. Kosha.
Yeah, again, I just want to thank the members of the Civilian Police Review Board, in particular, member Carl Williams. who offered the suggestions to this council. Just a couple things I really want you to make sure that you follow up on is to continue and encourage that relationship, that strong relationship that we have with the Schenectady Police Department and the citizens of our city. They have done a great job with outreach, particularly to our youth and to many of our neighborhoods. And I think that's really a plus for this for the Schenectady PD. And I just really want to encourage that in any way we can, and continue the focus of reporting their findings to the city council. Sometimes it's really our fault for not placing this on the agenda. But I think it's very critical that this council continues to be informed of what is really happening and the cases that are brought before this review board. They do some great work, again, in partnership with the Schenectady Police Department. But I think the council and certainly the mayor's office has to receive continued reports. And again, to put on their agenda. And like I said, it's really my fault when I was council president. I think I had them one time. I think that's very important. And also somewhere down the road, I think if and when funding becomes available, to really look into the possibility of having an executive director for this group. I know the city of Albany has had one, and we have some outstanding candidates in the city that would really take some great leadership in this. But I just think it's a very important committee that we have here, and to support it in any way we can. And again, thanking Council President Motivaran and Council Member Porterfield for your leadership on this and really moving forward. And again, working with our Schenectady Police Department and all our council members to really come up with a great review of these very important guidelines and bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to add to that, at our last meeting with the Civilian Police Review Board, I did ask the chair to reactivate the quarterly report to the city council. That is something that we're going to have on the agenda every quarter, and is going to be presented by this board to us going forward. So that's something was discussed and agreed upon.
Mr. President.
Any other colleagues?
Mr. President.
Go ahead, Ms. Patrick.
I actually just got this right before I was tuning into this meeting, so I do need to spend some time looking at it. I just got the email right before our meeting. But I do want to say, I think that Chapter 93 has that requirement of the Police Review Board making those regular reports to the council. I know we've had, at least one, maybe two in the year that I've been part of the council. And I do think it's a great idea. So that they make those regular reports to us. So I just wanted to support that piece.
No, that is correct, Ms. Patrick. Yeah, last year we did have, but the intention is to have them,
quarterly.
And that was something I communicated to the board, and I expect them to do that for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other colleagues?
Mr.
Porterfield, would
Motivaran.
you like to?
Yeah, I just want to make one other comment, and I appreciate Ms. Patrick's feedback on the particular email that you sent. However, I do want to voice my disappointment that I asked all of my colleagues to give feedback on the documents that I sent, and I received nothing from anyone. My initial ask for this was in July that we do this. It's now January. And when I asked in July, the response was, well, we didn't know it was going to be on the agenda. Well, that's no longer something that could be said because this has been on the agenda consistently. And so I think that at least we should be having that conversation and to bring up any issues or concerns that we have. The CPRB, Schenectady Police Department, the task force have all been doing their due diligence. So my only ask was that as a council, we do our due diligence. And that just getting no feedback whatsoever. So I'm highly disappointed in that. And I don't know if this is supposed to be a message that to me that we're not supporting you. However, this is not about me. Okay, this is about the constituents that we all took an oath of office to represent. And so when there's concerns that represent everyone, even if I'm the messenger, by being quiet about it isn't really sending the message to me. It's sending the message that there's certain parts of the population, this is my interpretation of it, that we're not going to take that action on. So that's how I'm taking this, how I'm seeing this, and not just me, just feedback I've gotten, because people are following our meetings, because this police reform is very important to a lot of people. And I think I made it very clear that this is not an indictment of the Schenectady Police Department. I've never said that. I've never made it that indicated in any way. So that's not what it's about. But, you know, we should consider, you know, doing what we need to do. And doing this with the CPRB doesn't affect me personally. It doesn't affect my family. It doesn't affect my close friends. This is for the residents of the city of Schenectady, and who we all said that we would represent. So to just be very, very quiet about it, I have to tell you, it's very bothersome. And for months I've been saying it and just presenting it and getting zero feedback. So I think that to say, let's wait until we get all the feedback. Clearly, the CPRB is doing their work, and the task force is doing their work by the thing that I mentioned that they've already implemented. So why the council isn't willing to do their work, or council members aren't willing to do their work, for those of you that have sent things, I appreciate that. And I know that at least one council member said to me that when I bring up certain issues, they stop listening. So let me just add to that, where they said that when they were running, and not when, maybe they've changed their thought process since they're on the council. So let me just reiterate, don't let this be about Marion Porterfield. Let this be about the constituents that we represent, because that's what we should all be focused on, and not just the messenger. So I just wanted to say that, because again, I've asked and gotten zero feedback on this particular topic, and I find that extremely disappointing.
Mr. Mudavaren?
Before you go, let me say, Ms. Porterfield, I did had verbal communication with regards to your presentation, and I have made it very clear that I don't have any objection to what you had presented. I was in agreement with that. I think it's relevant in today's society that we made those changes. I also ask that you wait on the civilian police review recommendation and consolidate your proposal with their proposal and bring it to the council as one. And that's where we are today. So I want to just remind that yes, we did have verbal communication and with regards to your recommendation.
Right, and I asked, but let me just finish, Mr. Mudavaren. But I sent things particular to the council members and asked for their feedback on that. I didn't even get a responses to say I have no feedback. So that did not happen. So this is not. I know about the CPRB. I know about us incorporating recommendations. But if this doesn't apply to everyone. I'm not going to call names though. So those of you that did respond and send feedback, the person I should say, that's fine, because the other person's not here now. That's great, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when I asked for feedback. In July, it was dead silence. And then after, we did this, I sent out information, there was no feedback.
No, I just want to clear that up. Sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Karen Zalewski.
Thank you. I just want to state that, we are waiting for a report back from the Finn Institute. I have been attending as many of the steering committee meetings as possible. Waiting for the report from, I didn't think it was appropriate for us to address anything in reference to the Civilian Police Review Board until we had the document that we received this afternoon right before this meeting. And in reference to recommending changes, I would like to see what information has been gathered and then have the discussion around what needs to be done and what legislation needs to be moved forward. My understanding, and maybe the mayor can correct me if I'm wrong, the governor's order stated that the mayor and the police chief are to bring forward and lead this process, and that we are to legislate. And I don't think we have sufficient information for us to go forward with legislation as of yet. I think we need to hear all of the information that's being gathered so that we can make an informed decision and not jump the gun, basically. So that is where I stand right now. And I'm Mr. Mayor, I believe that is what the governor's order says. Am I correct?
That is correct. That again, there'll be a package put together. It'll go to the council for approval. As Councilmember Porterfield pointed out, we did make some changes in terms of the interview process. That does not require any action by the city council. That's solely within my prerogative or the police chief prerogative in terms of how we do the interview process. So it was public input from that. The chief and I talked about it. We've opened up that process, but that doesn't require it going back to the council again for any legislative authorization. But again, you know, there's a lot of discussion going on this, and people shouldn't look to do the intra maneuvering on this. There's a lot of good ideas, a lot of energy within the committee and within the community that we're moving forward on this. And, you know, all of us have been around long enough so that we know when the police department had a lot more problems, we're dealing with issues that we didn't want to deal with, that we've moved to a platform where the performance within the department is tremendously improved. You know, I look at you know, some of the things that Wayne Bennett brought in, Brian Kilcullen, Eric Clifford now, Mark Chairs was part of that transition team that brought a different level of discipline to the department. And so we want to move it forward so that it is something that reflects well on the community and that we can all understand it. I say all of us, it's not only myself or the city council members, but the community will buy into the role that the police play within the city.
Mr. Mudavaren?
Go ahead, Mr.
So I just like to redirect this conversation to this is we're talking about particularly Chapter 93, which governs the CPRB. As Chief Clifford himself said, that's not even part of the executive order. But I brought it forward because it makes sense for us to look at it because we're doing police reform. So to say that, well, you know, we're going to wait for the package, the chief himself said, that's not even something we're required to do. I felt that as a council member, that it's something that we should do because it's a part of police reform. So I, again, as I've stated before, have heard very little during those discussions about the CPRB. When I say the discussions, I mean those several meetings. I don't think that makes it less of something that we should discuss. And in terms of legislation, Chapter 93 is a piece of city legislation. So that is not necessarily something that happens as part of that we go to that we need to wait for. We do the legislation, we do legislate. That's our role and our responsibility. And again, I didn't ask for any decisions to be made. I simply said, can we take a look at it and can I get your feedback? And so that didn't happen.
Mr. Mudavaren? Oh, is it Mr. Mudavaren?
Go ahead, Ms. Patrick.
I'm sorry. I want to respond also because we have responded several times. This has been on the agenda for months now. And I know that I at least said that I did think that we needed to wait for the Fin report. I participated, however, in the meeting that we had with the Civilian Police Review Board, where they were all talking about their suggestions. I absolutely will be looking at the email that I received right before we got here. I also did go through the materials that Ms. Porterfield shared with us, and we've talked about this previously at other meetings. I've actually done some additional research on some other evaluation tools, similar to the one that Ms. Porterfield sent to us. I actually thought we were going to, at some point, have more of a structured discussion where we would be able to go more in depth with this topic. But now that we have the information from the CPRB, I will be looking at that. I think that the Fin report is supposed to be coming to us pretty soon, from my understanding from being at the steering committee meetings that we've been attending. I know that it has been part of their discussions. I haven't made every meeting. I think I missed a couple of them. But I think it will be a topic that we will be discussing as we look at all of the legislation. So, but we have talked about this a number of times over the last several months, even at this meeting.
And at the last meeting, Ms. Patrick, I'll send you directly. I asked specifically for feedback to the emails that I sent. We didn't have to discuss it in this forum. I sent the emails out. You did say things, no response to the emails. And when we talk about the budget and the chair of finance says, can you respond to my emails about ABC? Then we all do that. So I'm just asking for that same type of courtesy when I'm bringing something forward that, again, I think is very important. So there may be, the goal was to send me a message, but however, this is not what we do when we're trying to make sure that we do the best we can for our residents.
And just to add to the Civilian Police Review Board proposal, if I'm not mistaken, the proposal that was shared to us today from the chair, I think it was also shared to the police department or discussed with the police chief. I think that was one of the items that I asked this information share, and at the last meeting I specifically asked for that too. So I am hoping that was done, and I think it was done. But I intend to forward also the email just for the sake of it, so the police chief to have a look at it. And to echo Ms. Porterfield, I'm saying yes, the police chief did mention that this is not in the executive order. This is something that we as a council can do. So I would encourage my other council members to please, if you have any suggestion, please submit it to Ms. Porterfield. If you don't want to submit it via email, you can have a phone call with her, like what I did, or send your suggestion. Either way, so that we can know where we are in a position to move forward when this is ready. Any other comments? Ms. Porterfield, what would you want to summarize in terms of where we are?
Well, I think I've said, there was someone else speaking. No, I think I've said anything. I simply offer a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Call to order the finance meeting. The first item and only item is discussion of a new insurer with Mr. Ferrari.
Good evening. Yes, the past 5 years, we had NYMER insurance through our brokers, Cool Insuring. But this year, if you see the package I sent you, the cost of NYMER was, we felt was too high for us to afford, and we went around and shopped for other insurances. We got a very good deal, and we contracted with Travelers Insurance through Cool Insuring to save some money and also to receive the same benefits and deductibles that NYMER was offering us. There is one difference that I wanted to explain to you and let you guys know about, is with the small claims portion. Right now, the small claims portion gets paid, after when you guys talk it out and have it through the Claims Bureau. What Travelers wants to do is for us to set up an escrow account with them in the amount of about $15,000, and they will actually pay the small claims right through our escrow to speed up the process of the claim process. They will still come to you, but when you receive them at the claims, they're actually already going to be paid. But you will receive, whatever the claim form is. Through discussion with our broker, we're looking at the amount of about $15,000, because that he seems to think that's about what we do a year on the claims. But I just wanted to go ahead and let you know about this, because it is something a little bit different, and I didn't want you to think that we're holding anything back or trying to cover anything. I know Andrew, he has more detail. I don't know if you add anything to that. Andrew?
Thanks, Anthony. If I made Mr. Palomini, do you mind?
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So this is somewhat similar to what NYMER had been doing with certain claims. It's just more of a continuation of with Travelers in terms of settling a smaller amount of claims, or in terms of net dollars, not smaller amounts, but in terms of the actual claim amount. This should, potentially save the city money. We did, and this is something Anthony, looked into in terms of how can we keep our insurance costs down. And I believe it was also attached in the materials, the coverage amounts in terms of what we're paying in premiums. Doing it with travelers saves the city money in terms of our premiums. I believe our deductible is still the same.
It's the same, yep.
That hasn't changed. This was essentially the city shopping around to get the best, for lack of a better word, bang for its buck. Obviously, there's going to be constant communication between the city, through the law department, through finance, Cool Insurance, and travelers to understand what's going on, what's happened, what's happening, and obviously to alert the council when things do happen. But this essentially protects the city with the same coverage that we've had. It does provide us with the necessary insurances, not just in terms of the amounts, but also in terms of the policies. And I think that Anthony pretty much said the rest. This is pretty much what we've been doing with NYMER, but it's just a continuation now with a new insurance company.
Who was that? Mr. Mudavaren?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Ferrari, thank you for bringing this forward to us, and thanks for the discussion that we had last week. I don't know if you mentioned, I missed it. What is the escrow amount that we're looking if we go with this new insurance company?
Well, that's
Sorry
15.
if you had to repeat it.
Yeah, the amount is $15,000.
Yeah, and the other focus, had we been paying upfront costs with our current insurance? Have we ever done that?
Yeah, well, we haven't paid them up front, but what was happening was the company was paying them and we were reimbursing the company.
Okay, so it was paid by the insurance, but it's just a matter of formality that it comes before the city council and we just approve.
Right. And so the same thing's
and
going to happen.
reimburse the insurance company.
Yeah, it's going to be the same thing, but the insurance, now we're putting up an escrow amount for them to take out.
So I'm not sure if you can discuss this here, but with the new insurance company, the old insurance company that we have right now versus the new one, if we were to approve it and move forward, you want to talk about the savings, or is that something that cannot be discussed at this point in time?
I think in the proposal you guys received, you see the savings that from the proposal from NYMER compared to the proposal from Travelers. We're the city's saving about $652,000. Which was extraordinary, I feel. But this came about a lot of hard work, a lot of meetings, and a lot of push to get. And we kept actually this until almost in the middle of December. So I had a lot of sleepless nights getting this through, but like it says, in the end, I think it turned good, and I think the city's saving actually. It's $100,000 less than what we paid last year, so I'm really happy. So.
Yeah, and it was one of the reasons why I wanted you to talk about it, because we're saving the taxpayer $652,000. That's a lot of money. Thank you for all the work you put into this. Thank you, Mr. Palomini.
Yep.
Mr. Palomini?
Go ahead.
So my question is, there's a $15,000 escrow account. Is that for the entire fiscal year, or does that need to be consistently maintained at 15,000?
Well, the way we figure it, 15,000 lasts us through a year. So we're not replenishing that unless we get 1,000.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Palomini?
Ms. Patrick?
Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Ferrari and everyone that worked on this. I mean, that's a tremendous savings, a huge savings. I'm sure it took a lot of work, and just wanted to say thank you.
Very welcome.
Anything further?
Do we need to move this tonight, or what is the?
It's not a resolution or anything, I don't believe. Because
yeah, they can just do this, I think.
That's correct. It was up for just discussion. We just wanted, I think our position was we wanted to make the city council aware of the changes. So nothing comes as obviously as a surprise later on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Palomini. Mr. Palomini. Mr. Palomini. Can I just tell Mr. Ferrari that I really like these kind of surprises, saving us $652,692.48. You can do that every single week if you like. Thank you very much.
We try, believe me, we try to save money every day, to tell you the truth.
Mr. Palomini?
Go ahead.
So thank you. I also want to say thanks and for for informing us. You know, even if we saw it as a surprise, it would have been great to know, but to letting us know. And also now that you say it here, the taxpayers also know. So that's good news. Thank you.
Right. You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.
Okay, so I want to open city development and planning, and the first item on the agenda is the authorization for a revocable trust. Is Mr. Wallen still on?
He's actually called for his reliever, which is me, Ms. Zaluski-Walzunas.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Colden.
Thank you very much. Before you tonight is essentially looking to get authorization to issue a revocable permit to Dave's Gourmet Burgers and More for a sign that's going to overhang the city's right-of-way at 16 Edison Avenue. This has obviously been reviewed by Mr. Wallen, and he did not see any issues. The normal liability insurance would be required. That's required of anybody who's going to be hanging up a sign in the city's right-of-way. I believe there is a photograph of where the sign will hang. There is proof of insurance that was provided in the packet. And then there's obviously the scroll bracket sign, which has been provided in the packet. Happy to answer any questions in a very limited sense.
Thank you, Mr. Colden. Are there any questions?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I believe the rest of the items are in executive session, so I would like to, do we open claims, Mr. Colden?
Yeah, you have to recess and then we'll
All
open
right,
claims.
so I'll take a motion to recess.
So moved.
All right, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're recessed.
Ms. Porterfield, can you please chair claims?
I'd like to call to order the claims committee to order, and I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Kosher, you're not committee.
Whoops, so moved. Got ahead of the meeting. There you go.
Then I'll have to second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're going into executive session.
Do we have that link? Did we get that link sent to us?
Yes, on Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.